speaker today. Our guest speaker today is somebody that I love. It's somebody I have known since she was a little girl. It's someone whom her mother and I were best friends. Her mother and I were colleagues. Her mother and I did workshops together. Patricia Harris Johnson. And today I am happy to introduce my spiritual daughter, Sheri Crawley. Now, Sheri, go back to that slide. Go back to the slide before she comes on, because I want you to know that she is the CEO of Pretty Brown Girl. And we're going to talk about that when she comes on. But here's the mission: to empower Black and Brown girls while encouraging self-acceptance by cultivating social, emotional, and intellectual well-being. And the vision: to lead a movement. And this is what it has become. And I have been a witness. I have been an eyewitness to this movement. A movement designed to instill pride, confidence, leadership, and camaraderie in the community of girls we serve. www. Pretty Brown Girls. If you don't know about it, go to the website so that you can learn about it. If you have a girl, if you are a female, go there. If you're a dad, you might have a daughter that needs this type of empowerment. So without further ado, she's here, the CEO of Pretty Brown Girl herself, Sheri Crawley, my spiritual daughter.
Mama Reverend Shaheerah, thank you so much for having me. I am overjoyed with the opportunity anytime we get to share space. So thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. And congratulations, TLC. Happy anniversary, 27 years. Look at God. Look
Yes.
at God. It is a celebration that cannot be overlooked. Any year, but 27 years?
27 years. Yes.
Listen, that is a blessing. That is such a blessing. And I'm just happy to be able to witness it.
And I'm happy that you're here. And I want people to know about how Pretty Brown Girls came into being, because I think it's a very exciting story.
Thank you so much. First and foremost, I give God the glory.
Yes.
I give him all of the glory, because without him, there is no story.
No.
Yes. And I appreciate that you were right there from the beginning, praying and praising and rejoicing with us over 14 years ago. And that it has been that long, since 2010, that we've gotten started. I want to say this before I get started. I just want to be able to praise our ancestors.
Yes.
I know my mama in heaven is right here, because she does not ever miss anything that is of God in her family. So I'm excited to be able to share. So and speaking of my mother, the story of Pretty Brown Girl started, my mother was the inspiration, let me say that. But it was through a series of events. And that's really a part of my story. It's an unfoldment. It's us leaning in when life happens. So I have two pretty brown girls myself, Layla and Aaliyah. And I planned a birthday party for them in Chicago, where we lived. And it was at American Girl Place. All of the girls had an opportunity to pick from a whole wall full of dolls, the doll they wanted to join them for the lunch. And each one of the beautiful Black girls came back with white dolls, blonde hair dolls, blue-eyed dolls. And I'm a Detroit born and raised. I'm a Black girl from the west side of Detroit. Student of Florida A&M University, grew up in environments where my mother was celebrated with beautiful women like yourself, house filled with laughter and African garb, and just the spirit of who we are as a people, and particularly Black women. And so I was the Black mama who, we didn't play around the dolls. We didn't play, you can Black doll, anything else, we're not. So when my daughters came back and said, with the same dolls, and said, no, mommy, these are the dolls we want, it stumbled me. Because despite everything that my husband, Corey, and I were pouring into them, they were over inundated with European concepts of beauty and the images on television. So the only doll, when I reached for the only doll that was Black, she was a slave.
I remember.
Right.
Addie.
Yes. The story of her in her book was of slave masters stuffing worms down her throat because she could pick the worms out of the cotton fast enough. And so when we see something that we don't like, and we were just talking about this, we can either complain about it or we can do something about it. In that moment, I just wanted to go off in the American Girl story. And then the next month, Anderson Cooper reconducted the actual doll test that was done during 1942, that was done during Brown versus Board of Education, where they interviewed children of all races and asked, which doll is the pretty doll? Which doll is the ugly doll? Which doll is the smart doll? Which doll is the dumb doll? And overwhelmingly, I was in tears seeing young Black girls picking the Black doll as the ugly and the ugly and the dumb doll. And then that last question is the one that took my breath away. Which one looks like you? So after pointing to the doll with all the negative connotations being us, the Black doll, then they had to slowly point to that doll. And the connection between that just was, just brought me to tears. And then we ended up relocating, but it wasn't an ending up. My mother was unfortunately diagnosed with Alzheimer's right around the same time. And to know her as an author, a poet, an inspirational speaker, school counselor, and just the heart of our family, I asked God what to do. And it's my GPS prayer that I'll talk about. Just, God, please show me. And immediately it was a go back home. And I want to say, when God says go, we got to go. And so we moved back, just sight unseen, packed up our home, our kids, and just got here quickly. And my daughters we ended up living in a suburb of Detroit, Novi, Michigan, where they ended up being the only Black girls in their classroom. And so we're trying to reinvent ourselves financially and at the same time making sure that their girls were okay, and they weren't okay. And one day my husband, in our conversations behind closed doors, he woke them up the next morning with the affirmation, "Good morning, my pretty brown girls." And it pierced my spirit to hear him as a Black man, a Black father, to be able to affirm his daughters directly, so that they knew, as my mother would say, who they are and whose they are.
That's right.
And when he said that, I looked it up on Google. I typed it in, and there was nothing but pornography in 2010 on the internet behind that affirmation.
Wow.
Yes. And so he said, you should buy that domain. And I said, I'll get it later, because I've been an entrepreneur now for over 25 years. And he said, no, you should get it now. And my husband's very soft-spoken, but I received the message and I purchased it. And 4 days later, someone tried to buy it from me.
Wow.
4 days later.
Timing is important, y'all. Hope you get that clue.
We serve a right now God.
And right now God.
That's right now instruction. And we purchased that, and immediately we knew we're going to create our own doll line. And that's how it started. But God, he's just such a God of miracles, and he's so faithful that what we thought we'd be like the people on Shark Tank and create products, Shark Tank has called us twice since then. And God had a much bigger plan for us. So we've been able to really impact over 100,000 Black and brown girls around the world.
100,000, y'all.
Yes.
And 600 chapters.
Yes.
And really, I think in the beginning, it was just about the dolls. But then it morphed into a whole movement.
And it's
educating, changing minds.
Yes. And God will use something that he thinks that he knows will grab our attention. Because I was like, oh no, my mother was a school teacher. She was the motivator. But me, I'm the entrepreneur. I was about that money, honey. Wasn't focused in on anything. I said, once we get ourselves together, and this is the thing, my thought was, let me help get my family together, and then I'll help people.
Yeah.
But you see, it doesn't work that way.
No.
We have to do what we're called to do when we're called to do it. So in the most painful time of my life, God assigned me to be able to protect Black and brown girls, inspired
Wow.
through my mama and inspired through my babies. Yes.
There is purpose in the pain
Hey, and in the pivot.
and
Yes.
in the pivot.
Yes. Amen.
All right, daughter, I'm ready. We're ready to hear this message that the Creator is going to pour through you. And God bless you. And I thank you. And I thank you, Holy Spirit, for using Sheri right now. And I thank you for blessing all the hearers, whether it's now or later, that they will be blessed. And so it is. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. Thank you. So, hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you so much for joining, whether you're a member of the TLC family or joining us for the very first time. It is an honor and a pleasure and a joy to be able to share just a little bit about the lessons that I've learned on my journey to the other side of purpose. I am Sherilyn Lynette Crawley, first of my name, Detroit born and raised, at the intersection of hustle and holy. I am a sower of seed, good seed in good soil, a protector of Black girls, a professional disruptor, a lover of Jesus, daughter of the Most High, and I get it from my mama. So let's jump right in. I want to start with, and I just authored a book called Get in Alignment with Your Assignment. And I believe that our blessing is in our obedience to what God is showing us to do. And no one has given us a roadmap to find joy and happiness. We can't learn it in school. Yes, as Black women, we are the most educated people on the planet Earth, but we can't think our way into our place of blessing. We can't Google our purpose. We have to go within. And one of the first lessons that I learned on my personal journey was to begin within, which happens to be the name of my mother's body of work, her company. She was a boss. She had her own business. She was a school teacher and counselor. She was a HBCU graduate from Bennett College. But she also wasn't a dream killer. She encouraged my brother and I and anybody that she met to dream their biggest dreams. We were doing vision boards back when I was 6 and 7 years old. We called them image books. And my mother was adamant about the words that we speak over our lives and affirming who we are and who God says that we are. So I didn't get in trouble when I was growing up, even in high school, if I cussed or anything else. But if I said I couldn't do something, excuse me, Pat Johnson would say, I beg your pardon. And I am grateful that we grew up without a lot of rules and regulations, because it gave us space to be able to go when God said go and do what God was telling us to do. And the only thing that my mother would answer back, she wouldn't come with what I hear a lot of parents say to their children. How you gonna do that? Because the how is not my responsibility, according to my mother. She would just say, let's go. And that let's go is how she raised me to live my life. And so beginning within requires us to go back to our own childhoods, whether they were filled with laughter and love or they were filled with pain and trauma. Childhood trauma is big. Even with all the positivity that was poured into me, I had a great deal of anxiety growing up, whether it was based on the way that I was a skinny Black girl that had buck teeth, or, us fitting into society's standards of beauty. But we carry our younger selves with us when we walk into spaces. And so beginning within is the first lesson that I want to share with you, because if we don't get our hearts and minds and spirits together, it's nothing that we can do to uplift our community. And I believe it's our responsibility to uplift each other. But we have to make sure that we're okay first. So beginning within, doing your meditation, getting your therapy, listening to the words that run through your mind about who you are, and that lies that other people may have said to you that are holding you hostage, and breaking free of that and healing ourselves and knowing that we deserve as much as we do for everyone else, we deserve to take good care of ourselves. So let's begin within, because we have work to do, and we have sown into everything and everyone else. And now is our time. Now is our time. Now is your time. Now is your time to take those dreams and goals that you have written in that journal that's sitting on the side of your bed collecting dust. It's time now to activate. We need you. We need you to be able to be who you have been called to be. Not what your degrees say, but who God qualified you to be. Because when God qualifies us, nothing else matters. Nothing else matters. So we're going to begin within, and we're going to honor our souls. We have permission. I'm giving you permission that when something doesn't feel right, that we can move away from that. And we don't have to even know what it is to know what it ain't. That goes for relationships, careers, jobs, people. Listen, Lord, I don't know who he is, but I know this one right here. Well, mine is. But I would say this, it ain't him. I don't know what this job is, but this doesn't feel right to me. And as long as we move in the direction of where God is calling us, because that's how he speaks to us. He gives us signs. He gives us nudges. He gives us the nuggets that we just need to follow the breadcrumbs of what direction that we're going. So I'm grateful that I did have permission to honor my soul, and to say, you know what? Although I didn't get into the business school at Florida A&M University, I got accepted, and I'm going to still go down there. And my mother said, really? I said, 100%. And looking back on that, at 17 years old, being able to have and be given permission to be able to still move out on my dreams. Because I tell you one thing, one of the most painful things to happen is to have your dreams happen without you in them. Where did our big dreams go? Where did they wander off to? Did we go get so busy with the day-to-day life that we forgot about those things that God has deposited on the inside of us? So when my parents traveled and took me 999 miles down to Tallahassee, Florida, when my pinky toe hit that lush green grass, it felt like Wakanda. I said, this is where I'm supposed to be. And still graduated in 5 years with an MBA, met the love of my life, but also fell in love with Black people in our community, and wanting to be a part, to use my gifts and talents in a way that could be able to impact them is where that dream happened for me. So we have to honor our souls in everything that we do. We can feel it in our gut. And if we can't, we got to get back in tune to be able to hear the voice of God that comes through our hearts and our minds and our spirits. So I call you to honor your soul. I call you to look back at your upbringing and know that we could have had well-meaning but misguided folks that gave us messages on the inside that can't serve us any longer. And we have to be able to take that in and change our circumstances from the inside out, and do the self-work, do the hard work on ourselves so that we can show up to be the best version of who we are for what God has next for us, because we're all in seasons. And before we came on, I heard Jay and Rev talking about fresh fruits and from gardens that Jay was planting. And I believe in seed time and harvest. I believe that what we sow into ourselves and each other will come back, and it will be a blessing for us, so that we're having to navigate right now through so much negativity, so much chaos, whether it be on social media that can be used for good, like we're using it today. But also I've seen the effect of that on our girls growing up, letting the culture dictate who they are and how they show up. And it can be very distracting. It's causing a lot of anxiety and depression, and suicide rates are up because of what the information and the visuals are that we're receiving in our spirits. And so we have to cleanse, just like we do, physically. We have to cleanse our minds and our spirits to be able to know that we have everything that we need on the inside of us to be able to prosper and be in good health and to be a blessing to ourselves and our family. So that's the second lesson. So begin within, honor your soul, but also that the how is not our responsibility. I hear we want to know everything. We want to know the answers. We want to know the plan. But guess what? God is the best planner. So for all of the girls that, and I'm not the girl because I'm a free spirit, but I know that when we're put together and that we were raised to lay out our clothes and have a plan and be able to say how we're going to do those things, that doesn't work in kingdom as much because God is the only planner and he gives us the assignments. And so we have to be able to shift out of thinking through it and taking action. Just do something, Sheri. You see that you don't like this with the messages being sent to your daughters and girls around the world about who we are. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? You may not have the whole plan. You may not even have the money. I know I didn't, but do something. Do something every day that's going to get closer and closer to us being able to see the big picture. But that's not what faith is. We don't get to see the whole thing. We have to just did you do the first thing? Did you do the first thing? So we can't be overthinkers. We can't be perfectionists. We have to lean in and trust God. And when we take the assignment that he's given us, I can tell you he's faithful. Because of the seeds that we've sown years ago in all of the girls, when we didn't have a way, when we moved from our home and our home in Chicago and rented a 2-bedroom apartment and just started over with the request and the petition for God. Because as I saw the impact that my mother left, and people would tell me when my mother couldn't even speak anymore, they would tell me how she changed their lives. And I'm asking God, what are people going to tell my daughters about their mother? What am I doing to be able to uplift and impact? And so when he gave me the assignment, I received it and I took it. And when we take assignments from God, we are in covenant. It's not like taking a job. We're in covenant with him. That means you do what God is telling you to do, and he's going to take care of you. When we trust him, then he trusts us with things that he wants to have happen in this world. And I've lived through it. I'm living through it. And we're in a harvest season now from all the seeds that have been planted. And we had no idea what God was going to do. But it's my commitment to him to make sure that I share that story. That anything that's happened has not been planned. But the way that he speaks to us is through confirmations. And we have to be very clear to know the difference between a confirmation and a distraction. Do we know the difference? Because this is the way that it works under this covenant with God. He's going to give us signs that are clear. Me, normally it takes 3 signs. I'm like, this wasn't me staying up late. This wasn't my own thought process. This is God showing me. So I want to share with you all my God, please show me prayer. And Jay, I know that I have some slides. I'm freestyling because that's what I do. But if you could pull up the slide that is on the GPS prayer, that I would be so grateful. Okay, we're gonna go back to that one. Yeah. I think it's lesson 3. Here we go. Okay. So this is what I call the GPS prayer. And in looking back and asking, Sheri, what was this? What is the process? I have spent decades on the road traveling, sharing space with Black girls, but having amazing conversations with woke, dope Black women, Black and brown women, and women that have purpose in them, but don't know how to activate. And I think back to what it is. What am I doing? What am I asking God? How did my mother set me up for this type of success that I couldn't have imagined being able to wake up and operate in my gifts, in every experience that I've had throughout my life are all being used. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was wasted, but it's the GPS prayer, and it's a surrender prayer. It's saying, I don't know what I'm doing. So dear God, you know my heart. You know the life that I want to live. You planned it for me. You created me with these desires that I have on the inside of me. So you show me what you wanted me to do about my relationships, whether it be marriages, being a mother, being a daughter. You show me what you want me to do for my career. You show me what decision you want me to make today, that I have the hard decisions that I have to make. Take it to God first. We don't need to try to come up with what we think. Just ask him and then be still and let him answer us. And so those confirmations is how he answers us. And sometimes distractions come wrapped in bows that look like confirmations. We need to know the difference. That's where our success lies. Knowing the difference between what you came up with and what God is showing you to do. And normally it starts the way, and when I'm speaking to people and I'm asking them to tell me what they're looking to do, if it just goes back to you, that most likely is not the answer. What do you mean with that, Sheri? I feel like in this time, in this space, everything is around what we like to do and what we want to do. God is not concerned with that. He is concerned with his will and his will being done on this earth. So I get to do what I want to do because I did what God told me to do. I can do what I like to do because I did what God told me to do. I'm a mom that couldn't even plan a decent birthday party for my daughters without forgetting the candles to the cake and stumbling in 5 minutes late. And God, you would assign me to lead an entire movement of Black and brown girls, but God will bring us everything that we need to execute. He needs our heart and to know that he can again trust us to do what he has told us to do. And so in those times that are hard, and if I know God called me to this work, I'm able to say, God, you said for me to do this. Where are the people that will help? Where is the money? God, you said do it. You know my bills, you know everything that it takes to have it happen. But we have to call on him. But if we didn't do what he was telling us to do, we couldn't do that. That's not called the GPS prayer. That's called the rescue prayer. Lord, if you just get me out of this, I promise the next time I'm going to follow your lead. And I lived in the rescue prayer for a long time, asking God to help get me out. But when God has placed me somewhere and assigned me to a thing, then it's not on us. It's on him to be able to show us. And it's on us to be able to be obedient enough to follow and to allow for him to guide. As much as we want to create, we have one creator, and our goals should be in alignment with what his is. So the GPS prayer, I hope that it blesses you as much as it's blessed me and my family to be able to surrender and then pivot, go in that direction. What's the next slide I have up, Jay? Oh, see, I'm out of order, but I already said it. When God says go, we got to go. We have to go. And those blessings and following the breadcrumbs. If something keeps coming back to you, that's not an accident. That's not sometimes, and in my case, it's our pain that can take us into our purpose. That, as I shared, the most painful part of my life with losing my mother, but being reminded of what's important in life, being reminded that we have the power and the tools right now to make a change in this world. It may not be a change internationally, like we've done with Pretty Brown Girl. It might be a change right in your family. It might be a change right in your neighborhood or on your block. But how we use that and how we show up is how we're going to be accountable to this life that God has given us. Because every day when we wake up, we have purpose. We have purpose on us because we're still here. So that means there's work to be done. So let's go. All right, we can go to the next. Already said it. I already got that message. This is why my mother told me this morning. I could hear her clear as day through the signs that she gave me when I couldn't print these slides, and the only one that printed was to follow your heart. So that's what I'm doing. So I don't even. We can keep on rolling. Here we go again. We can't plan purpose, and I don't want to, because it's nothing. What's for us? Let me say this: has our name on it. Has our whole name on it. We don't have to worry about competition. We don't have to worry about the details and trying to lock ourselves in to what we think we deserve to have. No, it's wide open. And so we just need to dream our biggest dream that we did when we were kids. Go back to that time where you saw the type of life that you wanted to have and go get it. We got to go get our blessings right now, y'all, because they are right. We are one thought, one phone call away. But we don't get to plan this. We don't get to. And it takes a load off to know that it is not our responsibility. But the surrendering, the breaking of the boxes that we have put ourselves in is the real work. That's the real work. It's not the labor. It's not coming up with something. There is nothing new under the sun. There is absolutely nothing. It's infinite, the amount of things that we can tap into that can uplift us as human beings, but also uplift our community. Okay? So we got to be still and we have to go within. And we have to align with our tribe. Find your people. And that they are attracted into us. Many of them that of the Black women and men and angels that have stood with us and prayed with us to be able to do this work. I know that I have some of my sister friends on the line, my family, my team that can dream with us and to be able to help us. So even though we may not have everything put together ourselves, God will bring those people when it is about his plan to help you to be able to do what he has called you to do. So that's true success. It comes from aligning with folks that you can pour into and uplift, and they do the same for you and remind you of who you are and that you are not alone, because we can't do it by ourselves. So whether it's, it's your family, whether it's your children, whether it's a good friend that will get you together and let you know, not today, sis. We're going to cry. We're going to dust ourselves off and we're going to keep it going. But surrounding yourself with positive people that love you and that shift the atmosphere, like a Patricia Harris Johnson would do, walk into the room and just shift that atmosphere with her smile and her laughter and her joy, and be able to create the essence of what God has called us to do and create that environment. So that is important for us to align with others that are like-minded, because it's suffocating to be around a bunch of negative folks. That energy, if you don't have that enthusiasm and that excitement, I can't sit with you for a long time, because I operate off joy and love, and the vibration that creates is magical because it goes forth and it brings goodness back in. Just like those seeds, just like those seeds that we plant. That's what those feelings are, that when we're around warm and exciting people, that it really it's explosive. And if we're reading the news all the time, because I know we got to stay tuned with what's happening right now, especially with this election happening, and in politics. But sometimes we have to be able to be still. I can't take it all in at one time. I'll tell my husband, turn it off. I can't listen to everything at once, because I soak in energy. And if you're like me, you understand what I'm saying. And so we have to take time for ourselves to be able to sit with God and have him to deposit those things that he wants us to receive on the inside. But I will say this, there are definitely rewards for doing what God has called us to do when preparation meets opportunity. When we first started Pretty Brown Girl, reporters would get death threats. We got hate mail. We got folks calling us monkeys online, white supremacists. We got folks asking us, why on earth would you put Pretty and Brown together? Why can't it just be everybody? Because we're speaking to the assignment that God has given us. We are here to let Black and brown girls know that they are fearfully and wonderfully made, that they are beautiful inside and out, that they can do all things that Christ has called them to do, that they deserve to be happy and about who they are, and celebrate their features and celebrate all of their beautiful shades of brown. We're not going to apologize for doing what God told us to do, but it wasn't popular then. It wasn't popular then. It didn't make sense to a lot of people then. And then fast forward to the pandemic, when George Floyd was tragically murdered. And we saw all of these cultural shifts start to happen. And folks all of a sudden were excited. We landed on the New York Times list as one of 9 youth organizations to support for Black Lives Matters. And our phone was ringing with people from all over asking how they could support. Now, what if we waited until that period of time to do what God had told us to do? Our organization was able to triple in size, and we were able to hire employees. We have over 100 women that work with us across the country to help, that are in our tribe, that come in like the cool aunts that we grew up with, to get our girls together. And what happens in Pretty Brown Girls stays in Pretty Brown Girls. You know, we're going to celebrate, but we're going to also give a safe space for those girls to have what I had growing up, which was someone that encouraged them to go in the direction of their dreams. But I was the shy girl in the back of the room. Despite everything that my mother poured into me when I was little, I was shy. I was filled with a lot of nervousness at that time. And I'm always talking to that girl when I walk into a classroom. I want to find the ones that don't have their hand up, but that still have something to say. And I see them, by the time we go through our 15-week leadership program, snapping and clapping and following us out to the car, and have blossomed into girls that understand that sisterhood is real. I didn't grow up with a physical sister, but I grew up with my sister Gladys, who lived across the street on Parkside. And we would look in the mirror and share our dreams. And we still do that to this day. So it's important to be able to do what God is telling us to do when he's saying do it. I met a woman at a Baptist convention that came up to my booth, and she had tears in her eyes. And she said, everything on this table, God gave it to me years ago. The pink, the brown, the butterflies. She said, me and my sister was call each other PBGs. And she said, I did nothing with it. And she said, to see it here right in front of me shows me that God is no respecter of people. That if he wants something in the world, he's going to make it happen with or without us. And that shook me to my core. She said, whatever you all need me to do, I will be obedient and help you, because I didn't do what God told me to do. And so I could relate to that, but I also am very cautious to not letting my dreams happen without me in them. I'd rather try and to say, you know what, this was me staying up too late. This wasn't what God told me to do, because I don't have any proof of life. Proof of life is important. Write that down, proof of life. If God has shown you and told you something that he wants you to do, and you do it, and there's nothing that comes back, if it comes back void, that wasn't God. Because when it's God, he's going to show you in fruits. This is, yes, our very first event that I'm not even a planner of anything. God, I woke up and God said, plan an event, plan a launch of Pretty Brown Girl. My dolls weren't even created. And I'm like, why would I do that? We don't even have any products. But in obedience, I planned an event called the Pretty Brown Girl Movement. I put my two beautiful daughters, Layla and Aaliyah, on the flyer. And we had no marketing, we had no money, nothing. But we called the Pretty Brown Girl Movement. We had 50 chairs set out at the Charles Wright Museum. And we go in 30 minutes to set up, to do what God told us to do. And there was a line wrapped through the museum basement of folks waiting to get in. 50 chairs we had set out, and 700 people showed up. That's proof of life. That's saying, I thought I was making a doll, but what are these? What are they? Grandmas bringing carloads of girls, single dads bringing their daughters, girls coming on their own. We celebrated, we prayed, we praised, we rejoiced, we uplifted girls in the community. And I'm like, whoa, this is not what's happening here. And so if you're not getting the proof of life, then we just pivot. We keep going. We know what that looks like because we know how God shows up. It's that callback, right? It's the phone ringing. Those are things that are pulling us. If you're not what you're being pulled to, you won't have to push, because when it's an assignment from God, that's a divine assignment. That's bigger than us. So we're being used to do what he wants to have happen in community. So that means that we're going to get real proof of life. So if you're sitting with me and I ask you, tell me your story, and it's just about you, that's not connecting to something bigger, right? So we want to make sure that then the way I start off is, let me tell you what happened. When people call me and tell me, let me tell you what happened, I know it's something on the other side of that, because it's not just them and what they're thinking. It's connected to other people. And then this happened, and then this happened, and this happened. And that word unfoldment, Reverend Shaheerah spoke that word to me and over me a long time ago, but it really resonated, because we don't get to see the whole thing. It has to unfold into what it is supposed to be. So we want to be prepared, just like Noah building that ark when everyone else was laughing at him, and doing things that weren't a trend and following everyone, but doing what God told him to do, was preparation for what was to come. And I also want to say, and this is a big one for me, because we're in this season of realizing that delayed is not denied. And I want you to know that there is a harvest waiting for you. And that sowing seed is what produces that harvest. So trust in God's timing, not your own. But delayed is definitely not denied, because what God was preparing and is preparing for you takes time. Takes time. I remember speaking to a prophetic woman when we first started, and I was telling her, this is year one. Oh, we're going to impact, thousands of girls, and we're going to create this and make millions of dollars. And she stopped me and she said, look outside the window and look at this oak tree behind us. She said, it doesn't grow overnight. It takes time. And I didn't want to hear that then. I was excited. I knew, I had big dreams, but she was right. It took time, and everything that we put in has blessed so many, including our family. But we have to be patient with ourselves, and we have to trust God's timing, and we can't become weary. We cannot become weary, and we've got to work. Sometimes it requires, and most times, and I know for me, it required being in beast mode. What does that mean, Sheri? That means that we can love God and Jesus, and we can still get up and do everything that we can humanly do. It's not going to fall out of the sky. We got to put some work into it. My mother worked hard. I saw her work every day of her life, uplifting others. My grandmother went to Madam C.J. Walker's beauty school. She worked until she was 80 years old, curling hair and taking care of women in the community to make sure that they felt beautiful about themselves. So it's nothing new for me to be able to, as I share with you all, being at that intersection of hustle and holy. We're going to do everything. We're going to use all of that to be able to uplift community. that same effort that I would put into my Fortune 500 job, or in my first business, which was an ice cream and coffee cafe in Southfield, Michigan, or in being top at the company of a network marketing company and being able to impact people there. But here in Kingdom, using all of that to be able to do what God called me to do, and every single one of those other experiences was beneficial and needed in the process. Coming up from air now with my children now, they were 4 and 5 when we started, y'all, and they are 18 and 19 now. And the epitome of what Pretty Brown Girl is about. Activated in their dreams, activated in their community, uplifting girls. They both got full rides to college. They're in the same dorm, not in the same dorm room, but they're in the same dorm, so they're right there. None of it was planned. But most importantly, learning how to manifest. They learned how to manifest and go to God with the things that their hearts desire. And seeing generational passed on from my mama to me, and now to my woke, dope, intelligent, amazingly compassionate Pretty Brown Girls, Layla and Aaliyah, and being able to for them to be on the same sacred ground that my husband and I, Corey, because we don't leave the Black man out. I told y'all he called this movement, but not only that, he holds us down and he leads us into the direction and reminds us of what we have on the inside of us. So we don't leave the Black man out. As a matter of fact, I mean, it's about family, right? So that is important to be able to see now in this space and time that we're in a harvest season of being able to continue to pour out and start new assignments as well. So God assigned me to Black girls and Black and brown girls, and now to women like yourselves that are on the line that are saying, I have these things in me and I want to do them. I don't want my life to be just on me waking up and paying bills. I want to make sure that I'm making a difference in my community or in the things that I see need to happen. But I don't have a plan. I think I need this. I think I need to save up for that. I don't have enough time. When is there ever enough time and money to do the things that we think we want to do? That doesn't even happen in real life. We just got to take the first step. We got to take the first step. And God brings us what we need because he's given it to us already. He'll bring the people. He will bring the resources. But it's up to us to take the action to overcome the fear and the worry and the anxiousness, and just know that it's possible. We have to believe in miracles. I believe in miracles. Do you believe in miracles? I believe that anything that God puts in us, that we are capable of making it happen, and that he will align us with those that can help us to make that happen. All righty. And then the last step is just to be able to ask you, how are you going to use your gifts and talents and skills to elevate humanity? We have a lot of things. We have a lot of work to do. We do. We have a lot of work to do on ourselves, but then also the upliftment of others. That's where our security is in. Uplifting. Who have we helped? Who have we blessed? Take action. Don't overthink. Don't wonder. Don't let those dreams sit there. No, get every single thing that has your name on it. Every single thing. You deserve to be free of worry. You deserve to have joy. You deserve it all. Y'all ready to go? Let's go. Let's go. Let's go get everything that God has designed and assigned and aligned for us. I would love to open up if anybody has any questions about just a piece of the journey that I've shared today. But I'm always excited to be able to share space with people. I'm Pat Johnson's daughter. I'm a people person. So if you all are there, Rev, I don't know how the technology is set up, if people can ask questions or if we can talk for a minute, but I would love to be able to do that.
Sure. They can.
Awesome.
We're free. We're
Yes.
free and we're flexible.
Awesome. 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 Hey, y'all. Hey. Thank you, Armithia. I appreciate that.
Where can I get your book?
Ooh, Sonia. The book is still on my computer. I'm getting it edited right now. I promise that I will make
Thank you, Sonia, for pushing my daughter.
We'll see.
I'm her accountability partner.
Yes, 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 yes. So thank you, Sonia. I will make sure that that information is available to you as soon as the book is printed. Just finish the manuscript. So thank you. Thank you, Miss
Let's
Gloria.
go. They're ready to go.
I appreciate that. Yes. Hey, Francine. Yes, yes,
Okay.
this is our time. This is our time. This is our time. And it's such a blessing to be been able to spend these moments with you all. And thank you for allowing me to share a little bit of my story.
Thank you, Sheri. Spencer's on here.
Hey,
Spencer and Pat work together at Paul Robeson.
yes, yes, family. Hey, Spencer, good to see you. Oh my goodness. Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, Belinda. Hi there.
And you guys can go to her website,
Yes.
www.prettybrown.girls.com, for merchandise.
And to support the movement, we have the Patricia Harris Johnson Scholarship Fund, in which we've been able to help over 150 Black and Brown girls reduce the burden of college expenses, as well as our movement to sponsor girls in community to be a part of our programming. So our foundation, as well as our merch, thank you, Rev, and everything is on our website at prettybrown.girl.com, as well as following us on our social media channels on Instagram and Facebook as well. And I'd like to thank you all. And thank you so much again, Rev, for having me on and being able to, it's always a listen, you know how I feel about you. It's always so important. Whenever I'm in your space, I'm feeling the hugs from my mama.
Oh,
So thank you so
my
much.
girl.
Congratulations for everything that you've built and that you've done with TLC, and for you following what God called you to do. A sheer example of for you to be able to be who you are and impact the entire community of TLC and the world. So I stand with you, and I'm celebrating and rejoicing with you in this huge milestone in my
Thank
birth
you.
month as well of October. So
Yes.
yes,
Happy birthday.
thank you to you as well. Yes, yes. Hey,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Sheri. God bless you. We give thanks, Most High God. We thank you that this vessel has come here right now, has poured into us, has given us practical applications of things that we can do to improve our lives. I thank you, God, that we have the tools we need to honor our soul, and we are clear for this message that we are here. You said love above all things. You wish that we prosper and be in good health. So I am giving thanks for the CEO of Pretty Brown Girls, and I'm giving thanks for this message that has gone forth right here and right now. Amen. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you. God bless.
God bless you. Wow, isn't that awesome? I'm so glad that you were here. Share this message. We are so grateful for the blessings. We have been blessed and blessed and blessed for 27 years at Transforming Love Community. And we're thanking everyone who has planted a seed in this ministry. And we know that you're getting the harvest because we know that we are fertile ground. So I give thanks for everyone who has given.